Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We're so glad to have you here with us. My name is Erin. I'm the Student Recruitment Officer for UBC Engineering. And I want to start off by acknowledging that the UBC Vancouver campus is on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. But I want to acknowledge that some of our current students here and you may be joining from other locations and other territories around the world. So thank you. So welcome to this session. We're going to be discussing today about how to make meaningful connections during your first year at UBC. So it's coming up soon. It's, feels like the beginning of August, but you're going to be on campus in no time. So we really want to help you kind of think of some ways that you can kind of move outside of your comfort zone, meet new people, and build your support system at UBC. Really, it sounds kind of silly, but the more friends you make, the sooner in university, the better you tend to do academically. So there's actually been studies on this and it's been proven. So that's why we really want to kind of help have this session so that we can share those pieces with you and also that we can answer any questions that you have. So if you do have any questions today, please feel free to add them to the chat and we will answer any questions that you have about kind of getting connected and making those connections with other students. To start off with, though, I'm going to introduce the three current students that are joining me today. So we have Miklos, Tanya, and Martin, and I will let them introduce themselves. So Miklos, if you want to go first.
All right, thank you, Erin. So my name is Miklos Scenario. I was the first year council engineering Undergraduate Society president last year. I'm going to iGen for second year, and I'm very happy to be here with you all.
Perfect, and I'll have Tanya go next.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the order you said that. So, hi everyone, I'm Tanya. I'm going into my 5th year of manufacturing engineering at UBC. I'm 5th year because I did a whole year of co-op. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask me as well. I'm from Singapore, so I'm an international student here in Vancouver. And I'll pass it off to Martin.
Thank you, Tanya. Hey guys, I'm Martin. I'm a 2nd year chemical engineering student, and I'm also a UBC Engineering Ambassador, so you can feel free to ask me any more questions about, student life in general. And it's very nice to meet all of you.
Perfect. Thank you all for being here and in your different time zones or joining us from literally around the world today. So thank you for being a part of this session. So when I talk to incoming students, a lot of them kind of seem a little bit like the transition to UBC is going to be a little bit daunting for them. I mean, coming from high school into a large institution like UBC is definitely understandable. So I was just curious about what the process was like for each of you for finding your support networks when you first arrived at UBC. And how did you kind of like meet people and go through that transition into university? Tanya, if you want to go first.
Yeah. So like I said, I am an international student, so I did move literally across the globe. I think I was fairly comfortable in high school, so it's definitely coming into a larger cohort size. It was extremely, extremely different. I think Jumpstart was one of the biggest ways like I got to meet people in first year. Like you're kind of forced to, be in these different activities. Like, what are you going to do? Just sit in silence? No, like I'm talking to others. And Jumpstart, typically you're also meeting other engineers, like your group are other engineering students. So tons of people who are kind of, you're going to see around more often. It's not just see them in Jumpstart and then never again on campus, because it's really hard to find people in such a big place, but you're intentionally put around engineers because you will at some point cross paths again. And I personally found Jumpstart to be a really good transition. And also like SDTs are really nice because you will have the same people around for many of your classes. So whether it's in your labs or large class sizes, smaller tutorials, you see the same faces again. And yeah, it's a whole experience. And I think also I lived on campus in first year, so it had its advantages as well. And I loved being there because I don't know, I think the feeling of everybody like pulling all-nighters in cafeterias for like final exams, like it's stuff like you hate in the moment, but you look back on, you're like, oh wow, that was that was, really fun too. So those kind of experiences were great. So first year res, SDTs and Jumpstart, I think were my three main ways.
Awesome, thank you. And Martin, if you'd like to share next.
Yeah, of course. So for me as a domestic student, I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, by the way. I kind of did have a few advantages before coming on campus because luckily a few of my friends from high school actually came to UBC. But the main way I made friends was also through Jumpstart. I still have a very close friend group that's in engineering that I found through Jumpstart. So that's been really exciting over the past year. We've hung out a lot over the past year, so that's been really exciting. And I also used the dining hall to my advantage. I've actually made a lot of friends eating out with people in the dining hall. Yeah, Sonia, yeah. That's been really exciting too. I've actually had so many fun conversations talking to people in the dining hall. And it can be kind of awkward because like, who are you gonna sit with at the dining hall? Sometimes I'll kind of be just so scared to sit with people who I literally have no idea who they are. But sometimes people do that to me. And I'm like, oh wow, someone actually wants to talk to me. And then I'd actually end up doing the same thing to other people and like, wow, someone actually wants to talk to you. So
Yeah.
sometimes it can be kind of awkward, right? But I think I definitely would encourage it, especially if you want to make a few friends, especially from different faculties. As Jumpstart is like mainly from people from the same faculty, which is really nice. But like based on what I did, I also like reached out to other people in arts, forestry, kinesiology, basically any other faculty. And I would also say having people at same SAT helped. I was in the pre-biomedical engineering timetable, so I had the same timetable as most pre-biomedical engineering students, even though I'm not in that specialization. I met a lot of people and they're still in the same classes as one in second semester. So we have a really close bond. Yeah, so those are a few ways that I've made friends
I
on
want to
campus.
quickly add to what Martin,
Yeah.
it's so key that because our UBC meal plan, you can get like Domino's pizza on that. So you're like blowing this money like in the cafeterias. No, it's a great time. I just had to say that.
Yeah. And I'd also like to add to Tanya that in terms of residence part, living on residence is so important to making friends. Like I don't know what I just feel like it was so important for me because a lot of people on my floor I'm super close with. Like we sometimes have movie nights, which is super fun. And I even like met like some of my friends like in the washroom, which was super weird, but it was just so spontaneous. It just happened. And then you end up just talking to them whenever you find them on campus. And a lot of times it's just so spontaneous. You just never know.
Thanks, Martin. Yeah, so really getting outside of your comfort zone is probably one of the scariest ways, but probably one of the best ways to make new friends as well. And Miklos, do you want to share a little bit about your transition to UBC?
Yeah, of course. So to start off, I gotta say I had quite the different experience to maybe Tanya and Martin because for one, I went to high school in Vancouver and I also lived at home, so I did not get that little fun residence vibe that Tanya and Martin got going on. Sorry, I got a bit of a nibbling, persistent cough. But what I did instead was I got access to Collegia. So what Collegia is kind of this substitute for kind of that dormitory vibe that's going on that we're a little bit jealous of, admittedly, because we don't get to hang out till all the way till maybe midnight or stay over with friends' places. But essentially what Collegia does is it allowed me to make a lot of friends with people from different faculties because Collegia does mix up um, all these different people from all these different backgrounds into this one small area where we were forced to converse. Really, it's like maybe like one small kitchen where we all had to share food and one little planned activities like Mario Kart and Mario Party. So between that and of course Jumpstart, I managed to make myself get myself like a core friend group from which I kind of worked off and expanded on my own. um, I started hanging out with them, and I also joined this Indonesian Student Association because kind of um, it's kind of a a cultural background. So uh, I'm so sorry. And, so it really allowed me the opportunity to kind of like not only connect to the culture and a lot of people who come from Indonesia and help these international students get around Vancouver, but I also had the collegia going for me to make friends initially.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, so if anyone's wondering about Collegia, if you are joining Jumpstart and you're going to be part of the commuter pathway, then you are going to automatically get to join Collegia. But any commuter student in their first year is able to join Collegia, and it's really all of the kind of like common areas that you would have in residence. So like the lounges and like the kitchen area and things like that for any commuter student to use without having an actual room to yourself, essentially like you in residence. So if you're there during the day, you can drop in and use the kitchen to make yourself lunch and things like that. So there's a variety of different collegias on campus as well. So it's a great option if you are commuting to campus. All right, so UBC has lots of great opportunities for students to get connected with other students, especially other fellow engineers. So whether it's getting involved in things like Jumpstart that was already mentioned, whether it's joining undergraduate societies like the Engineering Undergraduate Society or clubs or design teams. I was just curious, Miklos, if you could share your experiences with getting involved in the UBC community and how it helped you make connections with others. I know you mentioned that you were part of the, I think it was the first year council you said, so maybe you want to speak to that a little as well.
Yeah, for sure. So what I did basically last year was I decided to run for president of the engineering undergrad society first year council, and really I had a blast. Basically, what we did all year was we worked with the upper years in the EUS. They kind of mentored us and helped us organize different activities for all the first years for everyone to kind of bond and have fun activities. So, for example, we did a dodgeball tournament last year. We did a Halloween event. We also did this year-end treasure hunt, which personally was my favorite. And essentially what we tried to do is we tried to get as many first years engineers as possible to just come out and make friends. So for me, it was not only rewarding because I not only was able to help like people like you, I suppose, like my fellow first years, make those connections through these fun games and these fun events, but also got to really, really, really close to my team. We my team and I, we probably like worked only a couple hours each week, but even during the time that we were together, it was almost like we were simply having fun rather than really doing work. And I think like that kind of helped me a lot with not only enjoying my time with getting involved with the US, but also make a lot of meaningful connections during my time with the US. So yeah, I really recommend getting involved if there are any of you here interested in it. And if you are going to be in the first year council next year, I will be your mentor actually as your previous first year council president. So hopefully I get to see some of you sometime again.
Yeah, so the first year council is a great way to get involved. But even if you aren't quite ready to take that step and actually be a part of the first year council, you can participate in all of those events that the first year council puts on for you. And then you still get to make those connections and maybe you'll move on to something else later. So that brings me to Tanya. So I know that you've been involved with the Manufacturing Engineering Undergraduate Society, right? Or program.
Correct.
And so I was wondering if you could tell us more about that experience and kind of what that looked like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess just for like context for those on the call, so the Engineering Undergraduate Societies is what it is, like the entire faculty of engineering, and then within that you have different departments, kind of like their own little governments for different specializations. So Miklos was on the first year council because they're kind of like undeclared specializations, and then there's manufacturing, there's chemical, and then pretty much the other 14 departments that we have. So I was a part of the Manufacturing Engineering Undergraduate Society, but in a sense we all come together still to form the EUS. Okay, so at the time I joined, manufacturing engineering was just the new program. I was in the first class. We were a size of 20 people. So another way to honestly make a lot of really good friends. We spent all day, like people would say we're just like this little huddle that just goes between classes together because we all are doing the same things literally everywhere. And the Undergraduate Society was a great way to kind of make an impressionable, I don't know, impact maybe, like even just helping out the professors because everyone was so new, this program, like creating a structure and system for it itself. I loved being on the society itself, because I got to like interact with like the, I guess, leadership of other faculties as well, other department clubs. And we were also tackling like bigger issues, right? We were talking about performance of students in certain classes. How can we like help our own members get access to resources for helping them in midterms or exams, whatever it is. Like you have a VP academic who's working with that kind of stuff to make sure your program is academically strong. We have a student life ambassador who is making sure that department clubs are and students are able to participate and enjoy their time in engineering. So you're kind of dealing with all of these problems or situations, and it's a very fulfilling time, and you're working with such cool people. It's amazing. And E-Week, I think, is one of the, I just want to highlight here, is the best week. All of UBC engineering, other faculties that can be so jealous of us because engineers do it so well. And E-Week is a great way to like make friends, honestly. I didn't know about it in first year. And second year is when I participated. So if I were to change anything about my experience, I'd recommend any first year to participate in E-Week. It's fun. We can come back to it if anyone has questions. I don't want to take too much time about it, but yeah, being a part of the Undergraduate Society showed me so much of what's there in engineering. And I know that the society is always there to help you, listen to you, and provide you ways to help you enjoy your time as an engineering student better.
So my next question is for Martin. So if you aren't going to get involved in student government and, you still are going to all the same classes, you mentioned just kind of meeting people by sitting with them to eat dinner and things like that. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that first year program and how you can just meet people in your classes easily. You're going to be working on projects, tutorials, things like that. So what sort of experiences have you had in terms of making friends with like study groups that you've formed or within project teams that you've been a part of or anything like that?
Yeah, so I can definitely attest that I've made lots of friends through group projects and tutorial work. Again, like it's kind of like more so spontaneous. You end up just sitting with a random group of people, and then usually the conversation starts out predictable, like you kind of just introduce yourselves, and then you kind of get to know each other a little more. Like after like you finish the work, you kind of get like the similar feeling that you just sometimes don't like the work that you're doing, or sometimes that you just like go off topic or something like that. And that's when you get the closer connection. So I definitely say that's more so how I made a lot of friends with having group projects. And I guess with lectures too, I would sit with sometimes me and my friends would sit with other people and we just introduce ourselves, and then maybe we'd have lunch or dinner afterwards if that we really have like common interests or something like that. So I definitely recommend doing that as well, to bring that connection closer as well. And yeah, I would say your projects definitely helped me make a lot of friends along with tutorial work. And let's see. Yeah, I would say like those were super helpful, in all honesty. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think going back to one of the things that Tanya mentioned earlier was, seeing everyone studying together. So in first year, everyone's taking the same courses. So everyone's going to be going through midterms at the same time. You're going to be writing your tests at the same time. So literally you can walk through any of like the engineering buildings. We have the engineering student center, which is just a student space. There's like no staff or faculty offices in there at all. And that's all for students. So walking through there in mid-October is pretty much all students just studying for midterms and things like that. But it's a great way to meet other people. The EUS also puts on free tutoring events for first year students. So that's a great way to go and meet other first year students, or maybe connect with some upper year students too and make friends with them that way, because a lot of upper year students are the ones running those sessions. So you can tell them how great you thought they were and then become friends with them that way. So thank you all for sharing those experiences so far. For those of you that are in the session, we do have a few minutes left if you do want to ask any other questions for our students. I have two kind of last questions for you. So my first one is just, what sort of advice would you give to any incoming student on simply how to make friends at a school that they may not know anyone else going to? Tanya, if you want to go first, you can.
Yeah. I think this is advice it doesn't necessarily have to be like in your first year in university, and just anyway, if you're feeling anxious and nervous, it's likely that the other people are as well. And even something like smiling can make it a lot more easier. Like I've experienced that myself. I've been in moments in my first year where I felt like I didn't belong, like I didn't know anyone. So it was maybe elements of like social anxiety coming up that I was almost like, okay, I'm just gonna go sit in my room or something. Like I didn't want to be there, but I just, I don't know, something about it. I just kind of just smiled and like was around. Somebody tapped me on my shoulder. And then now we're still friends. I'm still friends with this person. But in any sense, just like trying to be okay with being a little uncomfortable in that situation. If you feel too overwhelmed, just smile. And it's likely that someone will feel comfortable enough to talk to you, or you'll feel confident enough to talk to someone else. But yeah, just kind of like faking it till you make it, if that makes any sense. But yeah, just try to smile through it.
It does. Thank you. Martin, any piece of advice for making new friends for our incoming students?
Yeah, of course. I would say to attend as many events as you can, especially before the school year starts, because there's so many actually. During the jumpstart, like during the day, there's a typical, campus tour, and then they introduce you to other parts of campus. But then near the night, there's so many events that you can go to. I think there's an ice cream social, and each year, like AMS gives out like a bunch of free stuff. So be sure to check that out. And then they have movie nights too. You should definitely go to movie nights. Those are so fun. Those are also a good way to make friends. And yeah, like a lot of the friends I made during Jumpstart are also the events I went to. Like there were two people that I met, like for example, like from the US, I met like while waiting in line for this I think it was this bracelet event workshop, and that was really fun. We got to make all these fun bracelets, so that was really cool. And I guess in addition to that, I would say to form study groups, because I actually did make friends during study groups as well. I was so stressed during my chem final because I did not understand anything. And then I just walked into an orchard classroom, and then I saw a bunch of people that were just as anxious as me. And then after that, we eventually connected together, and then we became friends. So that was also really exciting too. But not the exam though, that was super stressful.
Well, if you're now going into chemical engineering. Great. And Miklos, if you have any advice to give as well.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was thinking kind of the same things that Martin and Tanya were saying for the most part. Like, I think it's really important to keep in mind that as a new student, you're definitely supposed to feel a little bit nervous because hey, UBC is a massive university. We have about 50,000 students. That's like the size of a small city, and like as long as I think you just kind of like realize that it is perfectly normal that you feel that way, and that there are thousands of other students feeling that way. Like I think as long as you're willing to take that step and just like Tanya said, just simply smile at people and say hi as they pass by. People are gonna approach you. People are gonna say hi. People are like, "Hey, my name is blah blah blah. I'm going to this or this." And to be honest, like, um, I guess I was a bit lucky because for me, at least, for my personal experience, I was a little bit carried by the friends that I made initially. I just met like one or two friends, and they happen to be the most extroverted people I know. And this dragged me around to like all sorts of different events. Like, hey, didn't tell you, but you're joining us, and I'll be like, cool, okay. And so I got them. They take me to like different study groups and whatnot. So like, I guess that is a piece of advice. Find that one or two people that might just help you mingle around with everyone else. So and feel take a chance on someone and don't be afraid to say hi.
one of the things from my time at UBC, even just as a staff member, is that everyone is so friendly on campus, and that if you are going to smile to them, they will smile back, they will say hi to you. So, I really enjoy walking around campus because everyone just like seems so excited to be there always, and is happy to help out everyone. I know a lot of our upper year students are always willing to connect with first year students like Tanya. We also have our ambassador program. So if you are looking to connect with any current students, Martin's part of that, you can chat with them further, but you can also chat with any of our other ambassadors as well. So just to really quickly wrap us up, I always ask this at the end of all of our live Q&A sessions, but what sort of piece of advice would you give your grade 12 self now? So if you were talking to past grade 12 you, what sort of like short piece of advice would you give yourself? So Martin, do you want to go first on this?
Yeah, of course. Mind if I add two? They'll be like super quick. Okay. So I would say first off, there's a stereotype that engineers just lock themselves in the room all the time, but you really don't have to be like that in first year, because that was looking me sometimes, because I would be so stressed and I would think like every waking minute that I'd have to study or else I'd feel so guilty about myself. But you really sometimes just really need to relax, honestly. Like whether sometimes we'll be going to an event or just joining a club, like that's one of my big regrets. I didn't join a club or design team. So I definitely would say to try to branch out other than just focusing on your academics, even though that's obviously super important. You should definitely join a club or design team. And I'd say the second thing is to always plan ahead, because I didn't realize how many design teams that there were, that because I only applied to one, but there were also other design teams that I could have also joined that were also aligned with my interests as well. So I definitely say plan ahead and figure out what types of clubs and design teams there are so you can join one of them.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and if you can look at all of the design teams now on the website, you can walk through on Imagine Day. All of the clubs will be out and available for you to walk past. So that's a great way to kind of just stop in, and they'll all have like info sheets you can sign up for and things like that. So you can put your name down at multiple places and learn about them and decide which ones you want to apply to and things like that. So that's a great way. Miklos, what quick piece of advice would you give your grade 12 self?
Okay, like Martin, I think I got two advice that I really, really would want my grade 12 self to listen to. Firstly, is not to think too highly of grades. I mean, no matter how many times all the UBC profs come in and say, hey, your grades are going to be a bit lower and it's okay. But I like to think like probably about 60% of all engineers are a bit stubborn about it and be like, nah, I'm fine. I'm sure I can keep it up. Spoiler, you probably can't. And it's a pretty harsh reality check, at least it was for me. So I guess that's the first thing I tell my grade 12 self. It's like, don't be too fixated on grades because it's college. It's much different. It's different from how high school was, and it's okay for there to be a couple of grade setbacks. Second thing is to kind of similar to what Martin said earlier, to not to kind of branch out and do things you want, because yeah, the truth is engineering is a very arduous course and program. I mean, and oftentimes you'll have to study more than say your arts friends or your business friends. No offense to them, but kind of a fact. But it still do have plenty of time to do other things. And one of my regrets was that I kind of put some of my like extracurricular activities a bit off. I've picked them up this year because hopefully I'm hoping to continue on with second year for this social enterprise that I'm part of. But yeah, like do stuff that you love and don't give it up just because you're going to school in UBC Engineering.
Well, it's nice that Miklos and Martin kind of touched on, coming into first year as, high school students. But it's likely that high school students are also, maybe UBC wasn't your first choice, like things happen, plans change. And I would tell myself, like I was in a similar situation. UBC wasn't my first choice, but I am so happy that I made the decisions I did to come here and everything worked out the way it did. And if you're in a similar place, like it's okay. UBC is like just trusting that it is a fantastic university. It really is. And I think I had so much to unlearn coming in here. Like, it's not about random ranks that you see on different websites. It's so much more than that. It's the experience. It's like living in it. Vancouver is a great growing tech hub. So outside of engineering in school, like, there's so much career opportunity and growth happening. Canada is an amazing country, very pro-immigration. As an international student, I'm so lucky I got to come here, get the work experience I have, and feel so welcomed being a person of color here. No, these are things my high school self would have never thought of, never considered, but trusting that you can make the best of whatever situation you're in, and UBC will feel like home at some point to you. And I hope it's soon. Yeah, that's kind of what I have to say. Just trust the process.
For joining. Huge thank you to Miklos, Martin, and Tanya for being here, sharing their experience and their insight into ways to connect with others when you get to UBC. So we hope this session was able to give you some ideas of how to get involved, how to get connected, how to meet other people, and make some really great friendships in your first year. So this is our last online session of the year. But we're so excited to welcome you all because you're going to have Jumpstart starting soon. You'll have Imagine Day soon enough as well. So there's lots of ways to continue to get connected. Couple of things to look forward to is the e-news that will start going out at the end of August for you. So there's always lots of events posted in there and ways to get involved and ways to get connected. There's the engineering events website. You can always check out anything that our faculty is kind of hosting. And if you aren't already on it, we have our incoming student Discord server that you can join as well to get connected with other students before you even get to campus. So thank you so much to everyone for joining. Huge thank you to the current students that were here tonight. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their summer, and we're looking forward to welcoming everyone this fall. Thank you.